All right, thanks everyone for joining us today for how to make distance education less distant using video to boost your instructor presence. I'm Anna Sterling. I'll be moderating your webinar today. Our presenter is Tracy Shalis from Southwestern College. Tracy teaches composition and literature. Of her 19 years at the college, 10 have included teaching online. She completed @ONE's online teaching certification program in 2013 and is an active member of @ONE's, the center, where she's been a guest on several Hangouts. Tracy will be presenting at this year's online teaching conference in San Diego, where she'll be demonstrating ways to use video to develop a strong instructor presence in online courses. Her newest audience with video is designing and teaching a flipped hybrid composition course, half online, half face-to-face course that follows the flipped classroom model. Before falling in love with online education, she was in a serious relationship with the Southwestern College Writing Center, where she served as a coordinator and tutor trainer. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Tracy.
Thank you, Anna. So it's great to see so many people here who are interested in making video for our online students. I'm just delighted with how many people have signed up. I have found video to be such a powerful tool for connecting with students and for helping them to feel connected to me and to the class. But let me show you what I'm talking about.
Tracy? Tracy?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. This is Felicity. I'm having a hard time seeing the session. Just to let you know, I don't know if everybody else is in my boat or not. Just wanted to let you know, and because I contacted everyone, but I don't know what's going on.
Okay, Felicity, can you go ahead and call our office? The phone number is 951-639-5447.
I'm sorry, 91 what? I'm sorry.
951-639-5447.
I apologize. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so hi everybody. My hand in here. There we go. Hi everybody. Does it make a difference being able to see me versus just seeing the slides? One of the things that I'd like to show you is the experience that I had from a student perspective of what a difference it makes to be able to see the person that I'm working with instead of just seeing the text that that person wrote. So I'll be popping in and out of this video screen as we go through the next hour to kind of solidify that idea for you. So let's go to that poll that Anna was talking about, which is on the next slide here. Since we have such a large group today, I would be interested to know what your experience is with making videos. So if you make videos for your students regularly, then you would choose A. If you have made a video once or twice before, B. And if you have never made videos for your students, then you would choose C. That way we can get a sense of what people have been doing or not been doing with video. Anna, do you want to jump in and kind of guide people to doing this poll?
Absolutely. So again, if you look over under your name in the participant window, you'll see a little box with an A in it. If you click on that, you'll see the choices A, B, and C. You can go ahead and choose a choice.
And if we're just on by phone and can't get computer access, we obviously just listen in, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All guests have been muted.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that we go ahead with the presentation.
And while people are putting their answers in, I should tell you that a year ago, I would have answered C. So my journey with video is very recent. It's just during this academic year that I have been playing around with making video for my students. And in that time, it's really become central to my teaching. So I think that many of you may be at the beginning of that journey, or if you're somewhere in the middle of it, then we would love to hear what you've been doing, and we'll have a chance to talk about that a little bit later today.
Ready to see the results?
Yes, let's. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so it looks like about 20% of you make videos regularly. About 30% have done it once or twice, 20% have never done it, and 27% have no comment yet. So that looks like a pretty even mix. That's great for today because that means that we will all be able to learn from each other. So I would say it looks like most people have done it a couple of times. So you've experimented with video, but maybe you're looking for a few new strategies, some different ways to produce the videos. So hopefully I can help you with that today. Okay, so why make videos? We're busy enough, right? Believe me, I know. I teach English classes, so I spend my weekends and my evenings reading essays. So why am I adding to this load? It's because I've discovered that video has a huge payoff, not just for my students, but for me as well. Let me just share with you one little bit of research that ties in with my motivation. And let's see if I can get a pointer tool here. So the impact of social isolation and of connectedness in online courses is widely documented, and many researchers argue that student isolation is one of the major problems for online learners. And in my experience, I would tend to agree with that. A lot of times we don't see how isolated these students are, because they're isolated, they're separated from us. But we do notice when they quietly drop out of the class. And looking at this image, we can get a sense of how frustrating it can be to feel like you are working alone with the content and you are disconnected from anyone who might be able to help you. And so a text-heavy course can tend to distance the students from the instructor. And I think video is a really good way to put us back into the class with the students, to create a presence for ourselves so that they see that we are in there with them. And then they're more willing to ask for help. They're more motivated to start a project instead of putting it off. And so I think if students can see you and hear you, they suddenly feel like they know you. They're more willing to ask questions. The woman on this slide obviously doesn't feel like she has anyone to turn to for help, so she's just silently imploding. One other bit of research to tie in with this that has to do with instructor presence. Instructor immediacy behaviors have been found to create a positive effect toward the instructor and the subject matter, and to be positive predictors of student learning and satisfaction in distance education courses. So anything that's a positive predictor of student learning and satisfaction is definitely something we want to pay attention to. So we're looking at behaviors that make the instructor more immediate to the students, make the instructor there with them. The second quote, instructor immediacy, is based on the idea that instructor verbal and nonverbal behaviors are related to student attitudes and instructional outcomes. We know this from teaching classes in the classroom, right? Students use nonverbal and verbal cues to make determinations about us, about how enthusiastic we are about teaching, about how much we want to help them. They pick up on a positive attitude. They pick up on a willingness to work with students. But it's very hard to get that across with text alone. In fact, it's easy for sentences to be misinterpreted because there's no context to go with them. So the idea that verbal and nonverbal behaviors are so important gets to why video is so helpful. So if you can explain something with a video, students can see your expression. They can see your confidence in their ability to do it. They can see your willingness to do it with them. And I think that makes a huge difference for the students who are feeling isolated. I think it helps them feel connected. It literally puts you in your class. So if you're ready to try it out, it's time for Adventures in Video. So I wanted to talk for just a minute about my adventure in video from a student perspective. Pardon my arm cramp there. I've always been really involved with what happens in my classes. I've been teaching online for quite a while. But when I started taking the @1 courses, it really changed the way I saw how I interact with my students. I was lucky enough to take a class from Michelle Pacansky-Brock, And that was the first class that I took of the series, and she uses video regularly. And it was kind of like that moment in The Wizard of Oz when everything goes from black and white to exploding into color. That's how it was when I got to see the person leading the class. It was so much more powerful than text alone. And in that class we were asked to experiment with a lot of new technology. And so it was very unfamiliar, which could be off-putting, but she was so encouraging and enthusiastic, and I felt energized by all the videos she was making. And because I felt so connected and I saw that she was confident we could do it, I jumped right in and was willing to take that risk. And so that really showed me how important it is for my students to have a similar experience. And the second thing that I noticed was even asynchronous one-way video starts to feel like a conversation when it's repeated regularly. So seeing a video from an instructor every week starts to feel like a conversation, like that instructor is talking to you regularly. Even though I know that it's not a two-way conversation, emotionally it feels like a two-way conversation. It feels like we've built up a sense of community. So even though I already felt like I had good relationships with my students, using video has really taken it up to a whole new level. So my experience with my @ONE courses really began this adventure in video. Do you see the contrast here? I had to put in one text-only slide. Is that as appealing? In fact, here, I'm taking myself away too. So you look at this slide with lots of words on it. You know that they're important words, but it's not quite the same, right? We've lost something here. Okay, I'll come back a minute. Okay, so let me talk kind of quickly about these since we don't have much else of interest on this slide. Video I have found, so this is kind of the result of my research with my students in my classes. I have found that video shows the students that this course is taught by a real person, not by a computer, which is kind of funny, but students really do mention this often to me. They talk about how exciting it is to have somebody on the other end, how exciting it is to see that somebody is actually live in the classroom. And so I think there is a student perception that classes are made and put out into the world, and then at the end they're graded. Some assignments are automatically graded, which may encourage that thinking. But this shows them that I am a person, I'm invested in their success, I know them individually, and I'm in the classroom with them. And then related to that, the second one here is that instructor videos make an online class feel more like a class. I hear this from my students often, that it feels like we are in a classroom, but yet we're all doing it separately. This is a big one for me. I'm sure I should have learned this in kindergarten. Showing is more powerful than telling. So we can tell students how to do something, but if we show them how to do it, it makes it so much easier for them. Would you rather read an instruction manual, or would you go to YouTube and look up how to do it and watch somebody do it? I know that I am much more likely to do the second of those options, and it's the same for students. Videos also, I have found, dramatically reduce student stress and student frustration. And I wasn't really anticipating this when I started making videos, but I noticed it right away. So those first couple weeks of the semester, students are panicked, they're stressed. If something doesn't work the first time, they assume that they're going to fail. And I used to routinely get panicked emails. Now I get maybe one or two all semester long. And they're not very panicked, they're just asking questions. Something about seeing me do it shows them that they can do it, and it reduces that sense of stress, and then they can go ahead and do it. And if they get lost, they can go back to the video, they can replay that section, and they can do it again. So this unintended benefit really for me is that it makes my inbox very peaceful. My students don't feel as worried about how they're going to do things. And that kind of goes into the last thing here. Because they feel more comfortable and more confident that they can do this, I found that they are more willing to build a personal connection with the instructor. They see me as someone who's here to help them, not as somebody who's going to confuse them or stress them out. And I think this builds goodwill for the work that we do during the class. And as a writing instructor, it's really important that I do build that goodwill so that when we're working on their writing, they see that I am there to help them. I'm not there to criticize them. And I'm sure that applies to a lot of different classes as well. So video, I would say, has these benefits. I'm sure there are more, and I'm sure that some of you are talking about those in the the chat window right now. But these are some of the biggest takeaways from me during my year-long adventure. And I'm still on that adventure. I'm nowhere near the end. I keep changing things as I go. But these are some of the immediate benefits that showed up when I started using video regularly. Okay, so where do I use video? I thought I would show you a couple of places that I have used video and talk about how it has worked out. So the first one is actually outside of my course. I have an Instructor website, and I hope that students go there before the semester begins to get to know me, to take a look at sample syllabi, to look at my teaching philosophy. I have a section there with frequently asked questions and things like that. So front and center on this website is a video where I can introduce myself to them. So before they even sign up for the class, they have a chance to meet me, so to speak. So I'm going to attempt to show you a little bit of that. And I should warn you that the video will be choppy because I'm showing you video within a video. So it's not going to be perfect. However, you can go to my website and watch the whole thing at your leisure. And I'm going to turn myself off of the video cam here. Okay, so I'm going to play just the first few seconds of the video, the introduction of the video. Hi, I'm Tracy Jalen, and I teach writing and literature at Southwestern College. I've designed this website to help my students get more familiar with online learning and with my courses. If you are here to learn more about my approach to teaching and specific classes, you can use the menu on the left to have a look around. Okay, I think I'll stop it there. So that video is about a 2-minute video. And in it, I walk the students through my website. I show them where they can find things. I answer a couple of commonly asked questions, and just generally make them feel comfortable with me and excited about the class. So that is one of the first uses of video. In fact, the video I just showed was the first video I ever made. And we'll actually come back and look at a little bit of that later. Another use that I have found for video is to create a course tour for my students. And I found this is really helpful in the beginning of the semester because students who have never taken a class online or are taking several different classes online can get a little confused by the course structure since the course design is up to the instructor. And so I found that walking them through where to find things tends to increase the chances that they will find those things, and also to make it a little easier for them to navigate in the first couple of weeks. So I'm going to go out and show you a little bit of this in just a minute, but let me point a few things out to you since we won't watch the whole video. I start with a little introduction, and as you can see here, I am standing in the Library of Congress. Not really, I'm standing in front of a green screen, but it's a humorous way to set myself up as a tour guide as I'm going to give them a tour of the course. Then the other screenshot over here is one of the more complicated steps. Our LMS is Blackboard, and to get a picture next to a student's name requires several steps. So before I started doing videos, I would type all of those steps out. That was a little tedious for me. It was probably tedious for the students as well because not a lot of them put a picture on. Once I showed them how to do it with this video, so I'm logged in as a student and I'm walking them through step by step how to do it, then almost everybody did it. So it really seemed to make it easier for them to see the process and then try it out themselves. And then the last one is, you can see the circle here is on the course menu. So I'm highlighting things as I go. This one is the discussion board where I show them how to make a post, how to subscribe to a post, and so on. And these are the sort of things that are difficult to explain in text but became very easy in video. So let me show you a little bit of that video. Oops. And as you can see, I'm showing it to you in YouTube, even though it was put into my course. And this is to let you know that I have put all the videos I'll be showing today on my YouTube channel to be available publicly. So if you want to go back and watch this at any time, you'll be able to watch it directly from YouTube. Okay, so here is a little bit of this video. Hi there! You hear the score? We're just about to get started. I'm Gracie Phelan, and I'll be your tour guide. Education. What? Strategy classroom. Be sure to stay in the room and please stay. So before we walk through the course menu, I noticed that most of you don't have faces. You see how a small image of me appears next to my name? This will also appear in our discussion. If you're feeling a little gray, here's what to do. Click on your name. Click on Settings. And then Personal Information. Then click Personalize My Settings and upload an image from your computer. You'll be feeling more colorful in no time. By the way, let's go. Okay, so we'll stop it there. But hopefully that gives you a sense of how I can walk students through things that are multi-step but important for them to do to get themselves situated for the rest of the semester. Okay, so in addition to the, oh, and by the way, one little comment about the video tour of the class. I did this initially for my online students, but since I have started teaching a hybrid class, I have actually ended up doing it for them as well. So even students that I see every week are benefiting from being able to do this on their own when they're online during the week. Okay, here are a couple of screenshots of a video that I just made last week for a world literature class. And so this is an example of an introduction to a new unit of study. So I have found that in an online class, in many cases, the first thing students do is they read from a textbook, which is fine, but that's obviously very text heavy. So if they come into the course online and they have more text there, it's just not as effective. And as one student said, it gets kind of boring. So I found that doing a video introduction to the new topic that we're studying really helps them get enthused about it, and it helps me to emphasize the key things I want them to pay attention to as we move through that unit of study. Also, it lets me do something like this. So this is an introduction to modernism, and I was able to bring in a famous modernist painting. And because I was lucky enough to see La Guernica in Madrid, I am able to pop into the picture and just tell them a little bit about it. So again, it's another way for me to connect with them. And so this video is just 2 minutes long. It didn't take very long to produce, but it really helps to frame our week. It helps to give them a sense of what is important and what is interesting about what we're going to study. And I've noticed that the students tend to watch these more than one time. So I think that's a good thing. Another use of video, and this is a really good one if you have not done video before, is a video announcement. So you can do a text announcement, which is actually what I do the majority of the time, but I try to intersperse video announcements in there as well. So I can introduce a new week. I can congratulate them on turning in a paper. And by saying it, they can again see my facial expression, they can hear my tone of voice. It would feel much more like a congratulations if they're hearing me say it versus reading the typed word. I'm going to try to show you a little bit of this one. This is probably the choppiest of the videos because I'm going to show it to you embedded in Blackboard, my LMS.
While Tracy's loading, I just wanted to remind everybody, If you're having problems seeing or hearing the videos in the presentation today, you can go to Tracy's YouTube channel and actually see the videos without the kind of choppy interpretation of them. But we wanted to play what we could for you so that you at least had an idea of what she was talking about.
And this will be the choppiest of them, so I will warn you ahead of time. Okay, let's give this one a try. We'll just watch a few seconds of it. Hi everybody. I know this is a busy time of semester and the heat has not helped, so I just wanted to give you a virtual high five for all the hard work you've put in so far. Okay, so hopefully you could hear that even if you weren't able to see it very clearly. That video is just a minute long, but it just rewards them for all the hard work they've put in. It was recorded during a heat wave, and they can see that I'm recording it for them. I recorded it that day. It's not something that I've just pulled out and put into the class, that I am in there with them. So I think that builds that immediacy and that instructor presence in the classroom. Okay, and one of the last things that I wanted to share with you is something that I've just started doing this semester, and that is using video to give feedback on student work. So I'm going to pop back into your video screen since I'm done sharing my screen for a while. So what I've been doing with video feedback is giving them the kind of comments that I would type, but going into it in more detail and letting them see the tone of voice that I'm using, my facial expressions, so they can see that I'm giving them some suggestions because I want them to improve, not because I feel it is my job to critique their work. So a couple of techniques that have worked really well for me with doing video feedback are, the first one here, you can see I have a number 1. So I started to put together just a few little props that would help students navigate the video when they go back to watch it again. It also keeps me more focused. So if I have 3 main points that I want to share with them, I'll put the number up before I make that point. And those are markers that they can use to go back and review that feedback, which I encourage them to do before they start writing the next paper. I can also do things like give them a thumbs up in this image. I can even do something like this. In one of my classes, I had my students turn in an outline, and I gave them video feedback on the outline before they wrote the paper. And so one of the nice things about that is I could show them what an outline looks like, and I could give them suggestions about specific parts of it just by using my webcam. So most of these videos are about 1.5 to 2.5 minutes in length, and they are embedded directly into the grading screen that the students see. So let me see if I've got an arrow here. Oh, I've got 2 arrows. So in Blackboard, this looks like the inline grading presents the paper the student submitted. I can make margin comments along the side. I actually can color code them too. So for example, yellow is a general comment, and orange has to do with something grammar related, and blue might be formatting. So I can color code my comments for them, and then you can even attach a rubric. And then over here where I would type the comments for the paper, I insert my video. And this is just a video made with a webcam like I'm doing right now. And it's saved, uploaded to YouTube, and put into the grading window. It is an unlisted video, so it's not publicly available, and the students can be comfortable knowing that they're the only ones who are accessing it, and they're accessing it alongside their paper. So as they watch it, they can look at their paper, they can scroll through their paper, and they can see what I'm talking about. So I've really found this works beautifully for grading.
Tracy, sorry, real quick, there's a question I just wanted to ask. Let's see, where's it? WM asked, what would be the ideal or best length of a video? How many minutes?
Ooh, that's a good question. Definitely less than 5. Think about your average attention span when you watch a video. If you click on something from Facebook or you're looking through YouTube, about 2 minutes is probably the most that you want to do. You can go further if you need to, but the number of students who will stay with you until the end does diminish the longer the video is. So I try to make mine 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, something like that. Especially for feedback on student work, I want to keep it short. For the how-to videos, those end up being a little bit longer, but because they're showing a process, students are stopping and starting, and so they're willing to stay with a longer video in that situation.
And then there's a couple of questions about what tools you use, which I know you're going to cover in a second.
Yes.
But before that, both WOM and Beth asked, how do the students privately view their paper only in Blackboard?
Well, actually, let me go to the next slide here. I send them a video explaining how to access their video feedback. So I make a little how-to video before I release the papers, and the students watch it, and then I say, in half an hour your paper will be available. This is what you want to do. So they have to watch it first. And I just walk them through how to go to where their grades are stored, how to click on the assignment, and when they follow those steps, what they see is what you see here in the bottom image. They see their paper, they see the YouTube video, and it's like any video. All they have to do is click it, and it's all contained right there. So they can't go to my website or my YouTube channel and access it. It's only through this grading panel. So that keeps it secure for them. And I should also mention too that you can record this directly from Blackboard. So when I made the videos giving them feedback, I didn't go outside to do it. I did it right there in Blackboard. Where I made the video is where it stays. So I'll talk about that more in just a minute, but it's very easy to use.
I just wanted to answer Linda's question. She asked, do we purchase Blackboard or just download it for free like Java? No, Blackboard is actually the course management system that schools would provide for you as an instructor. So your school may be using a different tool such as Moodle or Canvas or something like that. And you have the ability to embed YouTube videos in all of those course management systems as well. You just may not have this specific feature, which is the inline grading feature.
Yeah, the process may be a little different depending on your learning management system, but this is becoming more and more a central feature. And so if you haven't looked lately, look now, and you might be surprised to find that it's built in.
Mm-hmm. And then Laura asked, I found that online grading and video comments take so much longer to do. Do you have any tips on how to do this and not spend a lifetime grading and commenting on student work?
Absolutely. I don't want to spend a lifetime grading and commenting either. My first ones did take a bit of time because I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it, and so I would find myself doing a couple of takes until I got it right. But when I sat down to grade a batch of papers and did them one after the other, pretty soon I was doing it in just one take each. And one of the ways that made that possible was that I had read the paper first, and as you can see over here, I had made a couple of margin notes, and so I had an idea of what I wanted to say for the paper. And having those numbers that I put up also really helped me focus in on what I wanted to say. So I had my 2 or 3 points in mind, and then I started the video and I talked about them. One really important thing that I learned through all this is it doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, the students are much more comfortable with the videos if they aren't perfect. It's like you're having a conference with them during office hours. That's much more comfortable for them than hearing somebody with a very straight face criticize their writing. So I think making it more conversational speeds it up for us and also improves the experience for the students. So hopefully that helps answer the question.
And I think you're probably going to talk about this again also in a second, so if so, just let me know. Let's see who's it. WOM asked, how do you provide accessibility when doing your videos?
No, I will definitely talk about that. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Okay, so before I go into the how-tos, because I do have several suggestions and strategies to share with you, I wanted to take just a minute to ask you, since we have so many people in here, how have you used video in your online courses? So I just went over a couple of possibilities, but I'm sure I've just scratched the surface. And if you have a use of video that you really like, this would be a great place to share it with everybody. Or if this time together has sparked an idea, or if one has been in the back of your mind for a while that you were interested in trying out, that would be a great thing to put in here too. We can just read through a couple of the comments and see what different ideas people have, and then we'll move on to the how-tos.
Great. So while they're typing that, I just wanted to answer a question again from WOM. She asked, if you're not using Blackboard, how do students access the feedback privately? Again, if you're using another LMS such as, for instance, Moodle or Canvas, you could provide students a link in their feedback area to a private video. And then if you know about YouTube, which Tracy's going to talk about in a second here, when you make a video private, only people who have that link can view that video. And so the student would only be able to see the link that you provided them, and they wouldn't be able to see any of the other videos.
So it looks like Laura has done some videos introducing concepts. Oh, or introducing a research assignment. That's a great idea because that assignment can be so intimidating for students. Oh, student observations. That's really interesting too. Wow, we have all kinds of great ideas here. Somebody uses Camtasia. Linda, I'm going to talk about Camtasia in just a minute. Mozilla Popcorn. I've heard this mentioned. I think I need to try it. ScreenFlow. By the way, this whole chat window will be part of the archive. So you and I both can go back and look at some of the tools people are discussing here after our webinar is done and when it's published as an archive. I know I'm going to. Screencast-O-Matic. That is definitely a favorite. Jing is also good for screencasting for short videos.
Debbie's got a great point. She said, I'd like to use videos to post interviews with guest participants in my class.
That is a wonderful idea.
And then I saw another couple people said that they do video introductions to themselves instead of just typing their bio. It's a great thing too.
Actually, that was my answer to this question. One of the things I would like to do is a video introduction and just put it into the discussion board, which you can do in Blackboard, and give them a sense of who I am by doing videos, recorded little snippets in different places that are different parts of my life. Put a little part on campus and some maybe a few parts filmed on location, and give them a fuller sense of who I am and what my interests are, because I think that helps them connect with the instructor early on. So yes, I like that idea. Okay, so let's move on then while these continue to come up into the chat, and they'll continue to be recorded. I want to talk for a minute about how my students have responded to this use of video, and then to show you some of the suggestions and techniques and tools that I've used. So I have taught using video in a total of 7 courses, some of which are still ongoing. And the survey here, and I give my students surveys throughout the semester, these results are fairly typical. So I always ask, did you like the use of instructor-created videos in this course? And I get very strong responses. This particular group, 85% said definitely, 15% said somewhat, and nobody said that they did not like the use of video. So that encourages me to keep using it. A few comments. We won't go through all of these, but they will be in the archive if you want to return to them. Just a couple of things that keep coming up over and over in student comments when I ask them what they liked about the course. This person says, I think it's awesome that we get to see and hear the instructor. It makes it more personal. The instructor becomes more approachable and open, and lots of things here in this list. This highlighted one here, it's reassuring to know what your professor looks like for an online class. It makes you feel more comfortable rather than you basically talking to a computer screen. So again, this idea that there's a real instructor in the class. This person says that being able to put a face to a name is nice, that we are able to feel more connected to you. And he or she goes on to explain that it's been talked about with this person's friends. And so that's kind of spreading the word about what videos can do. There are a couple more comments here. This one I think is really interesting because this person is saying, I like the fact that I get to see my teacher, and knowing that we don't have a robot on the other side of the screen, Online class seems like a boring class, but having videos and voice threads makes it interesting and fun. So I think this is the kind of student who might be likely to drop out early on, but I've managed to keep that student by using videos. And then the last one, this is actually from a discussion board comment. So this is a student-to-student comment, which I was really happy to see because it shows that this idea of building community is not just between me and the students, but also it's spilling over into the students' relationships with each other. So this person says, congratulations on making it off the wait list. And then he says, the video tour was exciting, wasn't it? When I saw the tour, I realized that we will be having a great professor who enjoys her work. And then he goes on to develop more of a conversation with this person. So again, it just seems like using these videos regularly really builds that sense of community early in the class. Okay, so here are a few creation tips. Number one is to show your personality. So your students want these videos to bring them into the classroom with you. So you don't need to just be a very serious, solemn talking head. Feel free to be goofy. I always try to put a little goofiness into my videos. Feel free to make a mistake and laugh about it, just like you would do in the classroom. Let them see that you're human, that you're willing to laugh at yourself, and it's okay if you make a mistake, and that lets them know it's okay too. So whatever your personality is, let it come through in the videos. Use a clutter-free background so that the focus is on you. So if you have a shopping bag sitting behind you, students after a while are going to wonder what's in that shopping bag. And while they're thinking about that, they're going to lose focus on what you're saying. So the more that you can remove distractions from the background and the things that remain are static and unmoving, then I think that helps make the video stronger. Another big takeaway for me is I've discovered that being real is much better than being perfect. So in the beginning, I did take after take after take after take of these videos, and it was exhausting. And as a result, I made fewer videos. And then I discovered that sometimes just letting students see me is more important than me making a perfect impression. Because my students don't want this perfect plastic instructor. They want to see the real person who is getting in there and working with them in the class. And so the last video that I want to share with you is the ending of the video that I made for my website. Give me just a minute to load this up here. So after doing many takes of that first video, I ended up with a whole bunch of outtakes, and I decided to do a little blooper reel. So I added some deleted scenes. I'm going to show you a little bit of that. Just to, again, let students see that the first take is not perfect. What they're seeing is the result of work that I put in because it matters to me, but also that I'm not perfect and I don't expect them to be perfect either. So in a writing class, I think that's especially important for them to see that yes, they see a final draft, but there are other drafts that came before it that were not so perfect. You can use the menu on the left. Look around.
Hi, I'm Tracy Shane, and I teach writing and literature courses at Southwestern College. I've designed this website to help my online students get more familiar with online learning and with my courses.
So the last part there was my then first grader who had watched me doing this all day and wanted to try it out herself. And so I thought that would be a fun thing to include as well. And students seem to really enjoy that. For videos that you'll be using semester after semester, you might want to consider making a fun background. It could just be being filmed on location, or you could do something with a green screen like you see here. So the two videos that the arrows are pointing to were created with Camtasia for Mac, and I used a green screen, which was very high tech. Here it is. Are you ready? There it is. There's my green screen. It's just a sheet. And as long as I have that behind me, I can then take that color out and replace it with something like a map or a still image or a PowerPoint presentation or a video. And so it's really fun to play around with those things once you have the basics down for video creation. And Camtasia for Mac actually offers this program for $75, which I think is a tremendous deal. So how to get started? I have a few suggestions based on my experience. So here are some recording tools. I know there's been a lot of interest and questions about this in the chat window. So here are 4 that I think are good to consider. The first one is if you are using Blackboard, it'll look like this. If you're using a different learning management system, yours will look different. So in Blackboard, you can see the arrow I have put here, in any text box. So that would be announcements, content, that would be the discussion board. You can put video. And this little webcam image here just needs to be clicked on, and a window opens up. You can record your video. You can upload it to YouTube from within Blackboard, and then it is embedded within Blackboard. So it's a really easy way to get started. Blackboard calls it Video Everywhere. You also, if you're not working within the LMS, can go right to YouTube. And if you have a YouTube account, in fact, if you have a Google account, you have a YouTube account, even if you're not aware of it. They're linked. All you do is click on Upload, and then you'll have an option to create a video rather than upload one. You click Record, and a window comes up, and it starts to record from your webcam. So it's another very easy way to create a video. And you can make this a private video, a public video. You can make it unlisted, so you do have several options. If you like the idea of picture-in-picture, which is a screen that has both you talking to your students and a screencast of maybe your LMS or something that you want to show them, Screencast-O-Matic is a really great starting place. It's free, it's very streamlined and easy to use, and it will record you as well as your screen and put them together for the video. And lastly, I have an image here of what Camtasia looks like. So as you can see, this one is a little more complicated. It has more features. There's a lot that you can do here. You can work with manipulating the audio and the video. You can add in animations. You can add transitions. You can do the green screen that I talked about earlier. And it is fairly intuitive and easy to use. So I was able to get started and make videos right away. It has a lot of options, but it's very user-friendly. There's also Camtasia Studio, although that one is a little bit more pricey. Okay, so before we move on to things like captioning, does anyone have any questions about the recording tools? Anna, have you seen anything that you want to
Laura was just asking, I guess the question, she says the question is about, do you differentiate between screencasting and videos of yourself? And do you think that, if you just have screencast videos, is that better than just no videos?
I would say anything is better than no videos. It doesn't hurt to have a variety. So what I have found myself doing is a variety. I will do lots of quick webcam videos that are just me and the camera. And then for things that I think a screen share would be useful for, I'll do a screencast. So I'll show them how to do something, or I will bring in other audio or visual components. It kind of depends on the purpose for the video. So there are lots of different tools, and I would say use the one that fits the purpose better. And the students really appreciate the variety. So I don't think the one is necessarily better than the other. And if you want to start with just doing screencasts, that's still a tremendous resource for your students. So you don't actually have to put your face in there at all. If you're wearing your pajamas, you could just simply do a screencast. And in fact, Screencast-O-Matic has that option. Even though it does record you during the presentation, you have the option of not making that part of the final product.
And then Helen asks, is it possible to have too many videos? Do you think your students could become jaded?
Well, I don't know if I'd ever have time to make too many videos. But that said, I don't use more than probably 2 a week because there are other learning methods. I wouldn't want them to get too used to any one thing, really. I want them to keep interacting with each other and interacting in different ways. I encourage them to make videos too, actually, and what they produce is always a different style than what I would produce. But I would say sprinkling them within what you already have is a great way to get started.
And then real quick, I know we're almost out of time here, but Linda asked, I know Camtasia works as an add-in for PowerPoint. Do the others work like this as well?
PowerPoint is something that you could do with Screencast-O-Matic, because as you play it on your screen, it would record it. The same thing with Camtasia. The other two tools, the YouTube webcam and the Video Everywhere webcam, are just simple webcam videos, so you wouldn't be able to use PowerPoint with those.
And, let's see, one more. Who is it here? Cheryl asked, is there a difference between Screencast-O-Matic and Jing?
I would prefer Screencast-O-Matic. There are some differences. Jing limits how much time you can do a recording. I love Jing for doing images, not as much for video, only because it does have certain limitations. And I don't believe you can do the picture-in-picture with Jing. But I think that you can do a video of your desktop pretty well with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Jing is definitely just for screencasting. Screencast-O-Matic, while focused on screencasting, does give you that picture-in-picture. And just so everybody knows, the Screencast-O-Matic Pro, which gives you editing features as well, is like $15 a year, I believe.
Okay, so some people have mentioned captioning, and I wanted to be sure to discuss that as well. A video that you plan to use repeatedly does need to be captioned, and happily captioning has gotten much, much easier in the last few years. So what I have done with captioning is if it's a video that I am introducing a concept or doing a how-to video, I already have those steps sketched out, and so I just type it out so that I have a transcript to go by, which helps to keep me focused as well. And when I'm done and I upload to YouTube, I just upload the transcript into the captioning window. And YouTube will sync the two really beautifully. Usually I end up ad-libbing a little bit in my video, and so I'll go back after I've uploaded it, and it's very easy to go in and add the missing phrase here or there. And again, it handles syncing really well. So I found that's the fastest and easiest way to do it. If you are recording a video for a student who doesn't need captioning, like if you're doing the video feedback, then captioning wouldn't be necessary. But if it's something that will be seen by your whole class and that you'll be using semester after semester, you definitely want to invest in captioning. And by the way, captioning is a really great option for all students. I've seen a lot of students who turn on the captioning just to get that content in another way. So they hear it, they see it, and they get to read it, and that helps them to absorb it better. Or if they're sitting next to a sleeping spouse and doing their work, they don't want to turn up the sound, they can use the captioning. So it's a really nice feature to have in your videos, and it's just become a habit for me to do it, and it really doesn't take that much time. It used to take a lot of time, not now.
We're almost out of time, so I wanted to just encourage you to finish up your presentation. We can stay on and answer a few questions at the end, but I want to respect the time.
Well, happily, we are at the end. My last thing was just to start simple, to don't feel like you have to do all these other things. Just start with you and doing your screencast or doing your webcam video. Keep it short. Just try one or two and then add these other elements in. And then one last suggestion for you is to come to my presentation at the Online Teaching Conference. It will be in San Diego this year in June, and I'm going to be doing a presentation on the use of video. And I will be showing full videos, and you'll be able to see them very clearly. I'll be bringing in some different videos than the ones that we've looked at today. And also it will be webcast, so if you are attending it virtually, you'll be able to see that online, or if you're able to come in person, you can register for either one using the link right here. Just go to onlineteachingconference.org and you can sign up. And so that takes us to the end. If you have any questions or comments or ideas that we could discuss very quickly, go ahead and put them in the chat window. And I think that's about it from my end.
Great. While you're looking over the comments that are in the chat window there, I'm going to go ahead and push out the evaluation survey to everyone. If you guys enjoyed today's webinar, please let us know. If there was some problems, please let us know that as well. We want to make sure that we get your, whoa, my link got all crazy here. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. We get that information from you. So the URL should be opening in another browser window on your screen, so please feel free to complete that. Take you back to the presentation. I will also put the link in the chat window if you want to get it that way.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. I'm really glad that it was helpful for you. That's great.